In this section, we'll be digging deeper with Monte Carlo and policy gradient methods. This section will focus on techniques that try to directly improve an agent's policy. We'll go over two fundamental methods often used in policy optimization: Monte Carlo and policy gradients. We'll introduce these methods and relate them to the value functions. Up first will be using Monte Carlo methods. We'll introduce Monte Carlo methods, implement the Monte Carlo algorithm in code, and highlight the strengths and weaknesses of Monte Carlo methods by comparing them to dynamic programming and TD methods. In general, Monte Carlo methods refer to a broad class of sampling and estimation techniques that deal with a random component. In reinforcement learning, we use MC methods to learn policies and provide estimated state values and Q values. The MC estimate is based on the average of the return for each episode. That's the key idea of Monte Carlo. Let the agent interact with the environment and receive a return. Use that return to update your estimate. As the agent interacts repeatedly with the environment, your estimate is the average of those returns. Let's go over some more aspects of Monte Carlo methods. MC methods are model-free. MC methods sample from the environment or model and use those samples to update the policy or value function. MC calculations require the episodes to end. There are two types of basic MC updates. One is called first visit Monte Carlo. The estimate of the state is from the first visit to that state until the end of the episode. Subsequent visits from that state are not used in the update. The second type is called every visit Monte Carlo. Every visit to the state until the end of the episode is used in the update. The next slide will show a visual of the Monte Carlo backup to help illustrate these points. The backup diagram shows how Monte Carlo updates from the current state ST until the termination node, indicated by capital T, is reached. We'll see how to put Monte Carlo into code, first by reviewing some pseudocode and then by going over a code example in the upcoming slides. This is the on-policy, first visit version of Monte Carlo, where we follow an epsilon greedy policy. We loop through episodes and time steps. At each time step, we calculate the return G. We use the return G in the first visit to the Q value STAT to update the Q values. Note that this is where the first visit method comes in. We only append the return G on the first visit. The Q values are used to compute the argmax action A star, from which we derive our epsilon greedy policy. Let's see how we can turn this pseudocode into Python code and see Monte Carlo updates in action using the grid world environment. Let's look at some code. We're going to turn this pseudocode into Python code. We're going to start with the code that we used in the previous section. Now for Monte Carlo, we need to make some adjustments. One difference is that with Monte Carlo, we use the average of the returns. So we need to create a data structure to store the average of the returns. To do so, we're going to use the running averages. And in the running averages, you store two values. The first is the current average, and the second is the number of times you've gone to that state and action combination. So we're going to create something called the Q return array. And it'll be almost the same size as the Q value array, except there'll be an extra dimension to hold the two values that we talked about. The first being the running average, and the second being the number of times we visited that state in action. Then we need to create another data structure to store the trajectories of gathered experience. In Q value updates, we update the Q values every step. Here in Monte Carlo, we wait until the end of the episode. So we need something to store the data until we get to the end of the episode. Then we use the data from that structure to perform the updates. So we're going to call that a trajectory list. And then within each episode, after we do the step part with the environment, we're going to append a value to that trajectory list. So we're appending to that trajectory the current state, the reward, and the epsilon greedy action. And then in the Monte Carlo update function, we're going to use that trajectory to update our Q values. So before, when we were using, like last section, where we updated the Q values using Q learning, we did that every step. But we're not doing that here, so we're going to delete that. And then we're going to perform our Monte Carlo update at the end of the episode. So after the if done condition is reached, we're going to update our Monte Carlo estimates. The goal is to update our Q values, so that's going to be one of the returns. And another one of the key inputs to the Monte Carlo first update function is the trajectory list that we just created. So we input the trajectory list. After the end of the episode, we clear it. And then next episode, we gather a new trajectory list with the data that we sampled from the environment. All right, so now that we see where the Monte Carlo first visit update function fits in, what's actually going to be in that function. All right, so we're going to do this update that's in the pseudocode in this first visit Monte Carlo visit update function. So we set the gReturn equal to 0, as we did here. And then we're going to iterate through the trajectory, starting from the end of the trajectory, and then going backwards through it. So first we calculate the return g, as in here. We calculate the return g with the prior return plus the reward. And then we use the first visit. So we're taking a dictionary that tracks whether this is the first visit to the state or not. And if it is the first visit to the state, we perform an update. Then here in this code, we perform the actual update using the Q returns array that we defined earlier and using the running average versus the number of times we visited that state. That creates an update of the Q values. And then we return the Q values in the Q returns. Find those functions and let's run them and see the output. And just like we did last time, we see the estimate of the grid rolled states. By contrasting Monte Carlo to dynamic programming and TD methods, we can help highlight the strengths and weaknesses of each technique. MC is model-free and can simulate or sample episodes without knowing environment properties. Dynamic programming requires perfect knowledge of the environment. MC requires the end of episodes, while DP does full backups every step. MC can be run from substates until the end of the episode. This allows MC to focus on performing backups in areas of interest. The following backup diagrams can help illustrate these differences. In the backup diagram, notice how MC proceeds until the end of the episode, while DP provides full backups. This can make DP computationally expensive. Also note that for MC backups, we can sample repeatedly from the environment and focus on substates, i.e., in this example, if the environment allowed, we could focus on the ST+1 node and perform samples or simulations from there until termination. Next, let's compare Monte Carlo with TD methods. Compared to TD methods, the main difference is the use of bootstrapping. TD uses bootstrapping. MC requires end of episodes, while TD can bootstrap mid-episode. MC can violate MDP properties and remain effective in some situations. MC estimates have high variance and zero bias. TD estimates have low variance and some bias. The backup diagram shows one-step TD backups compared to Monte Carlo backups. The bias increase and variance decrease in the TD methods come from that next step estimate. The variance in the MC methods come from the fact that full returns can vary highly, especially in longer episodes. We'll continue to discuss and use Monte Carlo methods in videos later this section.